Bum,
Ba-da-dum,
bum, bum.
bum, bum.
Bring. The Bindies have been a lot less enthusiastic lately. For good reason. The Dodgers keep losing. Welcome to the Blue Review presented by LAX. I'm Marcus Grant, joined by Greg Bergman, Parker Bell, and happy to see Jeff Spiegel early on a Friday morning. Thanks for waking up with us, Jeff, man. Aside from the obvious, how is everything?
You know, I just couldn't wait. After last night's game and the sweep at the hands of the Pirates, I was like, I cannot wait to just get up early tomorrow and talk more about this. So I am so excited to be here, guys.
You mean the post-game show last night wasn't enough for you? You had to talk about it again?
The adrenaline goes so hard that I might just stay up from our Thursday night post-game show to Friday morning at 6:30 a.m. I might just not go to sleep in between because it's like Christmas for me,
Been worth it.
Obviously, the Dodgers lose again. They get swept by the Pittsburgh Pirates. We will dive into that. I guess we'll try to set up the Baltimore Orioles series coming up this weekend as well. We'll get into all that and maybe a little bit more. But first, want to give a shout out to the folks at LAX. Los Angeles International Airport. As always, they are transforming the travel experience. They're saving guests time, trying to make the whole process a lot smoother. If you want more information, you can go to the interwebs at flylax.com/transforminglAX. So we were talking before the show. It's Ben Rortvedt. Is that where you wanted to start, Greg?
I mean, that's not the biggest thing that happened in last night's game.
No,
but that is something that was extraordinarily frustrating to see. Ben Rortvedt up in the ninth inning with 2 outs, and from what I understand, Jeff, he wasn't. I didn't even notice. Maybe they talked about it on the broadcast. I didn't even notice it, but he came in as a defensive replacement in the bottom of the 8th, right?
Yeah. So the background is, of course, Will Smith is hurt but not on the injured list. They had no third catcher on the 40-man roster because they had traded Hunter Fiducia away. They got this guy back as somebody who they could stash off of the 40-man roster for it break glass in case of emergencies. Well, this is the emergency, so he gets called up. 8th inning, they're down 5-0, bottom of the 8th. And Dave Roberts decides, he said after the game, that he wanted to get Dalton Rushing off of his feet for a little while, knowing that he was going to be playing indefinitely throughout this weekend because of Will Smith's injury. The problem was they were down 5-0. The catcher spot was due up 8th in the last inning, their last chance to rally. And guess what they do? They started a rally, and things come all the way around to Ben, who we've just started calling Ben because we're not entirely positive how to pronounce the last name on our show. And with the tying run on base, he came up and put together maybe the worst at bat I've ever seen. Watches 2 pitches, swings at a pitch that bounces in the dirt. That's how the game ends. So why Dalton Rushing, who barely ever plays, who is a young kid, was going to benefit from 3 outs and like 15 pitches not having to be caught is beyond me. But it was a bizarre decision that absolutely came back to bite them last night.
So I do wonder, though, is that something that if they were trying to get him off his feet, is that because there's fear that there's something more wrong with Will Smith, and that's, a little bit of extra time off his feet? I know that's probably pressing a little bit, but I don't know, man.
It felt like Dave was
up?
like, let's just get this guy into a game. Like, he hasn't played for us yet. He's up with the big league club. Like, let him put the Dodgers jersey on, trot out there, and be a real major leaguer again. But it was brutal timing for him to try that, because if you do the math and say, if we are going to come back and score 5 runs or more in the 9th, we're probably going to get to the 8th spot in our lineup, which is where this guy was hitting. And so I think it was just, who cares? What are the odds this comes back to bite me? And then it came back to bite him. So I think Dave was just unprepared and made a mistake, kind of owned it a little bit afterwards, but the rationale was not good enough.
I mean, it sort of seems consistent with games like that. I mean, we've seen plenty of games like that where it looks like it's pretty much a wrap. The offense is lifeless. They've given up several runs, and we've seen, he'll pull Freddie Freeman. He'll get, whether maybe it's Will Smith. He'll get some of these guys out of the game.
Yeah.
Generally it hasn't come back to hurt them the way it did yesterday. And look, there's no guarantee that Dalton Rushing in that situation gets a hit or drives in the run. No. But I think everybody would have felt a lot better. Yeah. At least you felt like you had more of a chance if it's Dalton Rushing than it being Ben Rortvedt up there. But otherwise. I don't know. Parker just seems to fit with the way the rest of the week went. On was it Tuesday? What's today? Friday. So Tuesday, you have a ton of offense, and the pitching was miserable. Wednesday, the pitching was very good. The offense didn't show up. And then yesterday, I guess a little bit of both. I mean, Snell has the one bad inning. The offense generally didn't show up. So I guess, Parker, having the manager also, vomit on his shoes seems par for the course right now.
Yeah, I mean, with all this being said, of course, you're facing the Cy Young winner, essentially front runner, and he was his dominant self. So that that was going to be tough regardless, no matter what you're going into this matchup. But having to say that you were swept by the Buckaroos, just the way this season has been going, I think Miguel Rojas was out here saying like it's frustrating, it's embarrassing. And I mean, we've been saying that the last few episodes, so that's just what it is. But they have to be able to turn it around. Got to turn the page. Just come in tomorrow with a better attitude. Shohei back on the mound on Monday, I think it is. So there's some good news on that front. Again, Greg, we keep saying there's good news. But until they start playing like there's good news, then it's tough to say that.
Yeah, I'm not going to get on the Max Muncy Edmund train until they actually get here. It's just like until they actually are here next week, which is supposed to happen. I'm not going to get on that. I can't keep saying that over and over. When Max Muncy and Tommy Edmund get here, it's just too many times to be saying it. It's just not an excuse anymore. And I reject the notion that he's punting this game because he's done it in the past. You can't do that. This is September now. You're on a losing streak to the Pirates. There's no such thing as punting a game anymore. Even I don't care if it's the 8th inning or not. At this point in the season, in September, in the middle of a race, when you're down by now 3 to the Phillies to get that final second spot, the final bye, you have the what's it called? The Padres right behind you at 2.5. They're losing it a bunch, but if they start winning, they could easily pass you. It's September. You don't punt games anymore. I reject that. It's not okay anymore. Just because what you did in May, June, or July was okay, like, all right, it's just the middle of summer. It's fine. It's just, going through the doldrums. It's not okay in September. You don't punt games in September. Are we agreement here?
No, I agree. I mean, unless it's a playoff game and, you've got to do you got to do the turtleneck out there throwing a whole bunch of innings.
Wow, good on you, because that's absolutely fair. But geez, that was annoying too. You don't play playoff games.
It was annoying. It just happened to work out. So weirdly, I feel like maybe that was sort of the worst thing. I mean, it was great because it helped them win a World Series, but also I feel like it gave Dave Roberts this idea of, hey, we'll just throw up the white flag when things are kind of going sideways now. Because I don't remember that being a thing with Dave Roberts previously before the postseason, but that's a different conversation. Jeff, since the All-Star break, they're 20-23. Yeah. Since August 1st, they are, I think, 4-12 against teams with losing records. I mean, I don't know if you have any advanced stats to explain this, or is it just a lack of focus? I mean, we sit here on this show and try to figure it out every day. I don't know if you have some grand theory as to why this is happening.
Well, it is worth pointing out that in the last 12 hours, they've outscored their opponents 3-0. So if we want to talk recency stats and real advanced analytics, they did score the last 3 runs. It's worth pointing out. No, I mean, there's, like always in sports, there's kind of numbers that you can use to either convince yourself things are going to get better or convince yourself things are going to get worse. The things are going to get better stat. Steven Nelson mentioned this on the broadcast last night. Their pitching staff has the best ERA in baseball over the last 6 weeks. And I know Blake Snell's final line wasn't all that impressive last night. I thought he pitched a lot better than the box score. Maybe he got a little fortunate the first couple innings, but the way that he allowed runs last night between like a million wild pitches and pass balls and ground ball singles felt unlucky. So I just, from a pitching perspective, there's reason for optimism because so far these guys are healthy. They're pitching up to the level that you've paid them to pitch to. The offense is the question. And again, to Greg's point, like we can only say, we'll just wait until Muncy and Edmund come back so many times before it's sort of, well, is this going to happen? When is this going to happen? How quickly is it going to make a difference? And so the fact is the history, the stretch of 43 games you just mentioned has not been good, has been discouraging, disappointing, depressing, depending how invested you are in this team. I still do think there's a reason to believe that 2.5 weeks from now, we're going to have more reason for optimism. And I'm also at the point where if somebody wants to tell me I'm a psychotic, crazy homer, like I understand why people disagree with me. I understand why people are like, this is who they are. They've told us over the course of 140 games who they are. Maybe we should just start believing them. So I think both of those are reasonable stances and positions to take, fortunately or unfortunately.
Well, I just want to put in there real fast. Just this team we're saying since over the last 6 weeks, it's been like this all year.
Yeah,
At some point, we have to say this is who you are. Since May 1st, they're 57 and 52, 5 games above 500. You're essentially a 500 team since May. The season starts at the beginning of May, at the end of March, beginning of April. That's 1 month worth of games. Like, they are a 500 team that we're looking at here since June 1st. They're 42 and 40. Like this, they're not showing us anything this year to show us that, oh, there is this other side. We just know how talented they are. We just know they won the World Series last year. We just know what they have, and they spent all this extra money in the offseason, but they have not shown anything this year whatsoever to say, hey, you're at this good of a team, and that's what's frustrating.
Well, and I think, and obviously this will probably come off as revisionist history, but I think you can even go back to late March, early April. I mean, remember, this team started 8-0, which feels like another lifetime ago, right? When they were winning. But even then, I mean, how many of those games were them pulling one out of the fire late, right? I mean, they had a walk-off against the Tigers. You had the Mookie walk-off against the Braves, a game that the Braves just gagged away, early in the season at Dodger Stadium. And I think what happened is we saw them pull those games out of the fire, and it's sort of glossed over the fact that they continually were falling behind, that they were always giving up the first run or first runs. And it was just that the offense was good enough to kind of bring them back. I mean, Parker, it does feel like there were red flags there that we sort of, I guess we just assumed, hey, everything's going to fix itself. It's going to work out. And it has fixed itself, maybe not in the way we thought, because the offense just hasn't come around. The pitching has had its issues. It feels like maybe this really is the team that maybe they really were. I don't want to say a 500 team, but maybe we sort of, glossed over the things that were wrong with this group.
Yeah, it's easy to ignore the red flags when you look as good as Shohei does. All right. You could put him as a poster child for any team and you'll ignore the red flags. And that's coming firsthand from somebody who would watch him every day in Anaheim. But the thing is, I mean, they're all saying it. They're just putting too much pressure on themselves. But the fact that, like Greg has mentioned, they've done it all season is just ridiculous. I mean, all season long, you've put too much pressure on yourselves in terms of feeling the necessity to win. I think that's just a little bit of, again, an excuse coming from, I think that was Rojas who said that last night. He mentioned they're forgetting the most important part of baseball is just playing for each other and having fun, and we're not having fun, but we still have a 2-game lead, so we got to figure out a way to have fun again. At this point, it's like, okay, put all that to the side. Just stop with the inconsistencies, button up and shorten up the swings and just start getting hits and manufacture runs, because you don't have a lot of time left until these red flags will be glaring in the playoffs.
I mean, that's been my thing on this show for weeks now, Jeff, is just put the ball in play. And I felt like they generally did a pretty good job of that last night. I mean, considering who they were facing, right? I mean, you're going to get swings and misses. You're going to get strikeouts against Skeens. It did feel at least like they put the ball in play. They were sort of giving themselves a chance. But to Parker's point, it doesn't feel like they're having complimentary at bats, right? It's not about getting guys on or moving guys over. It just feels like, hey, they get a guy on and somebody's like, all right, well, let's hit the 2-run or 3-run home run right now. Yeah. It just feels like an approach thing more than anything at the plate.
Well, and it's so tricky because I think the approach that the Dodgers have that, statistically they would say is the most beneficial approach, which is hit for extra bases and hit for power in all situations. The problem with that approach is how optically bad it is when it is not going right. Mathematically, it is the best way to win baseball games is not to try and bunt guys over and score 1 run. It's to try and score 3 runs all the time. And so when it works, it's like, oh my gosh, who's ever going to beat this team? And when it doesn't work, it's like, this is the worst baseball approach I've ever seen in my life. And so I think that's where the Dodgers are, is they're in this spot of do we just keep trying the same thing that maybe statistically gives us the best chance to win the most games, but looks really, really, really bad right now? Or do we try and mix things up and see if something different works? I mean, that I think is like the crisis that has to be going on in the minds of Dodgers batters right now.
Yeah, I don't know. So they'll get a chance tonight to sort of figure it out. They head to Baltimore to take on the Orioles in a 3-game series. We know there will be no Will Smith over this series, not going on the injured list. Oh, we got Hearts. How did you do that?
I don't know how that happened.
No Will Smith. Not on the injured list, but still dealing with a hand contusion. They've said he is not expected to play this weekend. Hopefully, by the time they get back home, we'll have Will Smith back in the lineup. Tonight's pitching matchup, it is Tyler Glasnow going against Dean Kramer. Greg, I'm going to read you the last couple of starts for Dean Kramer, and you tell me how you think this is going to go.
Okay.
August 29th at San Francisco, he goes 3 innings, gives up 7 runs on 9 hits. 2 walks, 1 strikeout. His start before that, August 23rd at home against Houston. He goes 5 innings, gives up 7 runs, 6 earned on 7 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. How does this one go tonight, sir?
Well,
can I ask, Greg, did you want him to read off this guy's been killing it for the last 2 starts, or are you more discouraged?
you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at this point. Like, the guys that have been killing it kill the Dodgers. The guys that are getting destroyed in their recent games are killing it. It doesn't matter against this team right now. And even if the Dodgers go crazy, the way that it's been going up and down, that the bullpen will just absolutely give it all up in the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. So it doesn't matter. They'll have to score 11 runs for this to be out of it. If they're not up like 7-0 by the 5th inning, I don't really feel great. That's where we're at right now, because I don't know who's going to come out of the pen and who's going to do what they need to do. And so, look, maybe they get to Kramer. That would really feel nice to see them get to Kramer. But at the same time, are the guys in the bullpen, because it's gone up and down, are they going to hold it? Do we have faith that Michael Kopech won't walk 4 guys in a row, or that Tanner Scott will give up a 3-run shot just because that's what he does with 2 outs after looking amazing against the first 2 hitters, and then give up just back-to-back walk, base hit, grand slam? Like, that seems to be his MO at this point. So I'm frustrated, but at the same time, yeah, I think they get the Kramer, but it's going to be on the bullpen.
Kirby Yates, perfect outing for Kirby Yates last night. Struck out the side, 6 whiffs on 9 swings. Baby, he's back.
The eternal optimist of Jeff Spiegel.
Jeff Blue Skies Spiegel, man. We appreciate you being here.
I mean, great. You did.
You're Mr. Blue Sky.
You did wear your World Series hat.
Yeah, I did. I feel good about it too. I feel like it's something has to change the mojo, and maybe I have to change it within myself first.
Yeah, I like
be
that.
the change that you want to see in the world. That's where we're going.
I love it, Marcus.
On that note, time to shut it down for today and for this.
Shut
week.
it down.
Shut it. Operation Shutdown. In effect, that's Derek Bell's greatest contribution to society. Operation Shutdown. Just go look it up. Anyway, that'll do it for this edition of the Blue Review presented by LAX. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks, Jeff, for getting up early with us, man. We appreciate you hanging out, even if you were fueled by rage and coffee getting up this morning. However you get here, we're just glad to have you. Stick around. The Sedano and Cap morning extravaganza coming up here on the ESPN LA YouTube channel. Back with you on Monday to recap, fingers crossed, what was hopefully a good weekend for the boys in blue in Baltimore. Yeah. We'll see. Anyway, for Jeff Spiegel, for Parker Bell, for Greg Bergman, I am Marcus Grant. It's been the Blue Review. See you on Monday. Oh, we got lasers.
Only for winners.
These are lasers of hope. Lasers of hope.
Weekend lasers of hope.